Hello again, welcome back to another episode of the Manga magazine series. We're going to continue with the 1973 run of Garo. Today I've got the August issue, and this one was a really good issue. There's a lot of good stories in here that I was not expecting to see, and comparing it to the rest of the 73 run, also a couple of names that I did not know would pop up, so pretty excited about this one. So we've got a cover here by Fujisawa Mitsuo, who actually starts off the issue as well, and at the back the usual Nijishiki advertisement. So here's the front here. So we'll get started. The color section is a story called Jarira by Fujisawa Mitsuo, and it's kind of just like a fun one about these kids playing around. But what happens is one of the kids, he actually gets injured and he loses his glasses there, and his eyes, I love the fact that they make his eyes orange here because something wrong with his eyes, and this eye doctor comes, but he is crap. He's just, putting the medicine into his nose instead, isn't helping him at all, and the kids try to help him out. But what happens is his eye actually pops out. Looks like a little ghost here. And one of the kids eat it, pops up in his head, tries to hit it out, and gets squashed by someone else who's walking. So it's not fully gone yet because we see it flattened here, and they use it as like a sort of magnifying glass. And this cat reminds me of Norakuro as well. I don't know if it's an actual reference to it, but it was the first thing I thought of. So you see the cat here being burnt by it, and they try to fit the eye back in, but it goes back in, except it's gigantic. So yeah, that was the very first chapter. Quite a fun one. Then we have a chapter by Susumu Katsumata. This is something called Hanbe, and this specific story is actually in if you have the English edition of Fukushima Devilfish, it appears in there as well. So it's a bit of a longer one where we follow a boy who's friends with a kappa. If you know Susumu's stories, you'll find that a lot of them are set in the rural countryside, and a lot of them deal with these kappa or other yokai as well. And so the thing is though, these kappa, they are terrorizing the town. So you see here that we have, there are some things I actually can't show. Well, here, this is one that's showing them getting violent, hopping onto a car and just like killing the people inside it. So very violent. And the reason why we discover later, so this is actually Hanbe here. It's one of the kappa that let me change what I said before. I guess they're not really friends, but they have a deal where the boy would provide Hanbe with sake, and Hanbe would go down into the river to get him some bones, and they are supposed to be like dinosaur bones here. So that's the deal that they have. And Hanbe explains that the reason why the kappa are so violent right now is because they're kind of in heat. And so the kappa, they undergo like sex changes during this time. So as you can see here, the boy is trying to collect all these bones, these dinosaur bones, and Hanbe comes in one time to ask for more sake, but the boy can't really, he doesn't get found out here. He keeps going, but one day he discovers that Hanbe hasn't come to him anymore, and so he goes out to meet the other kappa. Very brave, I would say. And it's discovered that Hanbe has undergone a sex change to be a female kappa. So that's Hanbe over here. But they are kept kind of like prisoner by their husband kappa. So unfortunately, they won't be able to see each other anymore. The boy can't get his dinosaur bones. Here it is. They try to meet up again, but very sad actually. Hanbe is trapped. And so the boy gets pretty angry at kappa. He can't trust them anymore. At the start of the story, the grandma always told him, don't trust these kappa. And in the night with Hanbe and their kids feeling bad, they come and actually bring the rest of the dinosaur bones. as you can see here, while the boy is sleeping. Quite a sad one, and surprisingly very violent of a story too. Especially for, I mean, like with Susumu, I guess I'm not used to that much like outright violence, I would say, from his stories. I know some of them do, but yeah, quite a heavy one in terms of just these kappa terrorizing the village that they're in. So we'll move on to another chapter of Traveler-kun by Nagashima Shinji. Continuation of that, which I'll flick through a little bit more quickly. And then we have another story here that is by Oji Suzuki. Something like I broke my guitar and was excited. This was actually collected in the Motorbike Girl tankobon, which I read quite a while ago, but this is a bit of quite a confusing story. I didn't really know what was happening. Very text heavy for Suzuki stories normally, but I do love these stories that were printed in English in the single match edition by Drawn and Quarterly. I think that one was actually translated by Jocelyn Allen as well. Check out their blog too. I think it's Brain versus Book. Back in the past, they did a couple of reviews of like Garo stuff too. I saw some Ebisu reviews and also even a Kano Osamu one, which is pretty interesting too. Got another chapter by Kou Shintaro over here, which I will also just skim through because I don't really read these ones, to be honest. And a reappearance, I guess, on the channel of this specific chapter called S8 by Furukawa Masuzou. So this one is a part of the Purple Legend series, but I actually did show this off in a video of a manga spotlight where I did Studying for a Fairy Tale. That was a book by Furukawa Masuzou where it included this chapter, and so this is the original appearance of it. So just to go over it again, it's a really great chapter. It's following this like frog looking character climbing this endless web, and we see like other frog characters climbing across it. We don't know why they're doing it, and they sleep by just hanging on this, and it's a very existential story. But I just love the art. I love how like abstract it is. Just these weird creatures across the grid. You see some of them like dead as well on the thing, on the web, and even these bird creatures that are dangers to them. Love that chapter. One of my favorite from Furukawa so far from what I've read. But yeah, and then we have another story here by Shinichi Abe. This one's called Giant or Kyojin. It's quite creepy. As usual, I don't really know what's going on with the stories that Shinichi Abe does, but recently I did find a great... Actually, I found it quite a while ago, but I only just took the time now to really go through the website or blog. So it's this person, he's put up a blog of pretty much every story that Shinichi Abe has drawn and put out in his time, and it comes with like information about when and where it was published and a little bit of some like summaries of the stories themselves. I will link it in the description. Very valuable if you are a Shinichi Abe fan, and it has been updated as well to include the Axe chapters, the unpublished chapters that came out in Axe, I think a couple issues ago, this year or last year. So very useful resource. This story was quite creepy. I did not know what was happening, but there was a lot of darker like panels and just the vibe of everything, like this for example, which I've never really seen too much with Abe's work. I guess that he can be quite, dark in general, but not this type of dark. We've got some people killing others here. I don't really know, but reading through that blog was really interesting because it does tell you some information about Shinichi Abe, their relationship with their partner Miyoko. You also have some information about how he over time got into like occults and that sort of thing. So it's pretty damn crazy, but very useful resource. Also has some info on Sugetaro as well. So we'll move on to the next chapter here. We've got Pukaritopia by Iwamoto Kyuusoku. Yet again, just more nonsense chapters about this guy stranded in the middle of the sea on a log and just weird stuff happening to him. And this next chapter is a reappearance of Sakaguchi Hisashi. It's yet another untitled chapter, and this one is a fully silent manga. So previously, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 issues ago, Sakaguchi had appeared with one of their works, super well drawn art, and this one is an amazing one of the standouts in this chapter as well. So it's fully silent. We see this old man just walking up these steps, but he's kind of having a bit of trouble and he's coughing a lot. And what we see is that he coughs up his heart, it looks like. And he stumbles into a room where there's like a jar of water maybe, where he puts the heart in. And he opens up the sliding door to the balcony and he just floats away. And in the distance, there he is. But we see the jar with his heart there. Very interesting chapter, and that's the last page there. It's just another very, I guess, atmospheric and moody story, very similar to the previous one. The previous one was also untitled. It was about that person reminiscing over a lost loved one, but that one had dialogue. This one had no dialogue. So a standout chapter for that. And now we have actually the debut chapter of Yoshikazu Ebisu in Garo. So this is a story called Pachinko. I love this one as well. So I did not know it was the debut chapter until I went and researched a little bit more. So this is, I love Yoshikazu Ebisu, as you may know. I haven't read any of his works in quite a while, although I do have a couple books on my shelves that I haven't touched yet. So maybe in the future I will come back to his stuff. So yeah, this story, although it's titled Pachinko, it's not really about him gambling at all. It's about this guy over here. He has a journey to to play pachinko, but he ends up just being on this journey where he can't find the pachinko parlor. The main thing I really love about this chapter, at least, is during the journey you have a lot of like this monologue and all these observations done by the main character, just about, you know, people peeing, about the journey, about weird stuff happening throughout. But it's really fun when that happens. But yeah, he's kind of just on a surreal journey trying to find this pachinko parlor and can't really find it at the end. And I do have the actual tankobon called Pachinko as well, although I haven't touched it. But the tankobon is apparently a mix of like actual dreams that Ebisu had, and also combines it with some fictionalized elements. So that might be the next one I will read from Ebisu, but this is a great one. Happy that I have a debut from Ebisu here. And then we'll move on to, this is the first time I've heard of this artist at least. This is the chapter titled Avant-garde Restaurant by Fukami Haruo, and they were selected for the newcomer recruitment in this issue, alongside, I think Ebisu, it also said newcomer as well. Yeah, alongside Ebisu's too. And this one's kind of a fun one. It's the mangaka, they do picture books. After I looked them up, but this guy here, there's this restaurant. It's called the Avant-garde Restaurant. This guy here kind of aspires to fit in with the crowd that goes to the restaurant, so he forces himself to go and have a, you know, fit in and blend in with the rest of the crowd. But the menu is kind of crazy, and he tries to eat the food, but he's having a lot of trouble with it, as you can see here. And pretty much he just at one point can't take it anymore, and he goes out, vomits, and he's sick for a full day after that. So quite a simple story, just about fitting in, but doesn't work out for him. And it's funny that the restaurant is called the Avant-garde Restaurant too. So we'll move on to the last couple of chapters in this issue. Another great one. This is 1975 by Masumura Hiroshi. The first, I believe, Masumura work that I've read, I've definitely known of them for quite a bit, although this is the first chapter I've seen. This is a standalone one. So we have this cat character with this guy over here who go out on a little walk through Tokyo that is apparently doesn't really have that much people anymore. Apparently only 10 people in a thing. Oh, and I did also notice this as well. At first, honestly, I can't really tell if that's wet ink or not. But you see this little line there? At first glance, I thought it was an actual like tear in the page, but it's not. It's drawn there, but I can't tell if it was actually in the original chapter or whoever had this issue drew over it. I think it's the latter, but it threw me off for a second. So yeah, but yeah, continuing on. Weird, just a dream-like story, I guess, where they wander into a forest, but the pen work is so good here. Like you see all the dots of everything, the shading, super detailed, and the faces can be quite creepy as well. But yeah, they wander through forests, encounter this snake that is apparently not a snake, they say. They're walking on this weird earth, also kind of looks like snakeskin. They talk about like some orchestras and some other stuff too, some random things. Meet this owl. Oh, I want to spotlight this face too. Creepy. Yeah, kind of ends up there, walking towards this castle. So didn't understand anything about this, not sure why it's called 1975, although they did reference some things that probably happened in 1975, but a great chapter. The artistry in this is insane. I do want to eventually get a Masumura book, although they are quite text heavy, so that's why I've kind of been holding off, because I've always just seen his art and thought, yes, this is like the best thing ever, but it just will take a lot of effort for me to read. And now we come to the final chapter, probably my favorite chapter out of everything. I was not expecting to see Mizuki here, but this is a story called the Chitaro Strange Story, or Chitaro Kiran, by Mizuki Shigeru. And take a look at that cover page. It's so good. Reminds me of something you'll see in like, I don't know, Hibari. But this chapter it's so good. It's been a while since I've read any Mizuki. It's actually based on a story by Richard Matheson called Blood Sun that was written in 1951. It's the same guy who wrote I'm a Legend. And so it's kind of like his own spin on it, but I forgot how good Mizuki's art is. Well, I would say Mizuki and his studio, I guess, because he's had so many assistants, the whole thing with crediting assistants, all that. But such a good chapter. So this is actually a reprint of the chapter. It did not first appear in this issue. It first appeared in like, I think somewhere else in 1972, the year before, by Ushio Publishing, I think another tankobon. But this story is about to start off the story, it said, or neighborhood rumors said, that on the night of Chitaro's birth, strong winds knocked down trees. Apparently he was born with 3 teeth and would latch on to his mother and suck not only the milk, but the blood as well. And that is this boy here. So this is Chitaro, a very strange looking kid. He looks like a ghost with his little thing on his head, and his eyes are very distinct as well. But he's born, and his parents are like, this kid is weird. He does not say a word until he's like 4 or 5 years old. He's brought to the doctor, and the doctor's right, okay, this guy can either be like a genius or just like insane. And the very first word that comes out of his mouth at like 4 or 5 years old is death or die. So, you kind of know where that's going. He's terrorizing the cat, and he has an obsession with blood. So that's why his name is Chitaro. As you can see here, you've got the kanji for blood. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Chitaro. Not too sure, but anyways, he grows up. He's in school, bullies a lot of people, so he is a delinquent. But one day, he comes across a advertisement for Dracula, the movie, showing in theaters. And I like this little panel here. It looks just like a photo, but you see Chitaro over here blended in, and he becomes insanely obsessed with Dracula. I mean insanely obsessed. Also funny to see, like, there's just this is not part of the story. It's just a advertisement for Mizuki book coming out by Mizuki Pro and everything like that, so don't worry about that. But he gets so obsessed, he finds a book of Dracula, and he just reads it everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere he's reading it. And so his parents are kind of like, well, what are you doing? Not too sure what's happening with him. He's become so obsessed, and they check out the book and they find out, oh, it's Dracula. We should probably throw this away or probably do something bad to him. And he goes crazy kind of looking for it, and he manages to go find it at a dump. And without cleaning it or anything, he continues to read. So he reads so much that he's memorized the whole thing. And at school, when he's asked what he wants to be, he says he goes on this whole talk about how he wants to be a blood-sucking vampire. And the teacher's like, please stop. Calls his parents in, gets in trouble. And there he is, just sulking all by himself, no one understanding what he wants to be. And one day he has the idea of like, okay, to become a vampire, I've got to be bitten by one. So he finds this bat, and at night comes back to the zoo. He grabs the bat, goes to this abandoned place. Let's look at that line work. The detail in the plants is so good. But yeah, he tries to, well, pretty much, it's actually quite violent and confronting. But he gets his knife and he actually stabs himself. And he's like, okay, please, like, he wants the bat to drink his blood so he can become a vampire. So here he is trying to force the bat to do it, and eventually the bat over here, you can see it. And there he is dead, but he manages to walk out and he collapses. And in the background, we see Dracula. And so Dracula approaches him and holds him and says, oh, my son, declares him his son. But is this Dracula real, or is this a vision or a hallucination that he sees at his death? So Chitaro, if you go with it being a hallucination, he would actually have died here. So quite an ending to a story. And to go on with Richard Matheson's Blood Sun, I think it's a pretty similar ending as well. But yeah, it's crazy from start to end. The fact that this like little kid had went through all this obsession and even pretty much just killed himself to try and become a vampire. So yeah, crazy story, but a standout story in the entire magazine issue, I would say. And then the rest is just some more stuff by Kasugawa Genpei and some other written works too. So a really, really good issue overall. Probably one of my favorites from the entire 1973 run so far. So that Mizuki, I haven't read a Mizuki thing in a while, and that being my reunion with him was really good. Masumura Hiroshi as well. Just the artwork of every single person in this issue has been amazing. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the manga magazine series with the 1973 run of Garo. I will check out the descriptions for that Shinichi Abe thing. Very useful blog if you are a fan of him, and Sugetaro as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.